Hi, everyone, and welcome into my live. I am Coach Sherry, and let me change this. I just came live. I'm calling it Sunday's Best because this Sunday, it was the best. Oh my goodness. We had a wonderful, wonderful time at graduation for my youngest of three graduated from college today, and the graduation was phenomenal. It really was. It was a long graduation. It was over 3 hours long, but the graduation itself was so dynamic. There were so many great advice, words of wisdom that was poured for all of these young women at Spelman College. And ooh, I just dropped my phone. Oh my goodness. I um I just want to say that, each of my children selected the school that was the best fit for them. And we absolutely let our children apply to the schools that were most aligned with them, the schools that resonated with them for one reason or another, and to make the decision once they received acceptances. And each of my kids definitely selected schools that were so appropriate for their personalities. And that's the thing. When I look at college, especially if you go off to college, or even if you commute to school, or if you don't go to a 4 year school, you may go to a 2 year program or to a training program after school, after high school, anything that's post secondary. I look at that as that's your home. You know, that's where, especially colleges, I feel like those are your homes away from home. And I always looked at it like no matter what, you could have grown up in a home all your life in one house or one town or one area. And eventually, sometimes your parents may retire and, you know, uh, they move away to somewhere else and they have a new home, a home that doesn't necessarily resonate with you, maybe because you weren't from that area, you didn't grow up in that area, or what have you. The house is totally different. You don't have your childhood home, your childhood room in that home. So things are a little different. But if you do go to college, be it a 2 year school or a 4 year school, and you go away, especially if you go away, um, that's your home. And so whenever my kids went to visit schools, I would always tell them to think about that school, not just for those next 4 years, but forever, because that's going to be their home. I know my school that I went to undergrad, whenever I go back, I feel like I am home. And that's how you want it to be. And all of my children selected the school that definitely is like home for them, that I can see them. They fit perfectly, that's their home away from home. Once my husband and I are long gone, that school will always be. My school, Lincoln University, which is the first HBCU, is 170 years old. It was founded in 1854 and it's the first degree granting institution for people of color, and it just had its 165th graduation. And today we were at Spelman College, and it was their 100 and I believe 37th degree college graduation. And oh my goodness, you know, it was just amazing. And one of the things that really resonated with me, and this was said at the end, and I forget the person who said it, but she said it to all of the graduates. And what she said was, now that you are in the sisterhood of Spelman College, you have received your degrees, all of your accolades in front of family and friends. Ahead of you are your ancestors. To the left and to the right of you are grace and mercy. And within you is God. And behind you is your Spelman family. And I thought that was so profound. I mean, just thinking about, your ancestors being in front of you, leading the way. They're the ones that were praying for this day. They're the ones that knew that times were going to get better. They are the ones that, died too soon, that had struggles, that, were prayerful for better days and for the generations to come to experience better times. And they're in front of you, and you have grace and mercy to the left of you and to the right of you that are there to build you up, to hold you up. And then you have God within you that, everything that he promised is coming to fruition. um, God is in you, and he's with you every step of the way. And then from whence you came, which is the school, they will always be, but they're there behind you, pushing you forward. And I just felt like that was just amazing. And so the keynote speaker was Angela Bassett, and she had a great message. I actually was able to video hers. I have a lot of great pre-recorded videos that I'm going to post, but I wanted to go live during the graduation. It's just that my reception was so bad in the building, and I think a lot of people had challenges with their phone service in the building. But I was able to do some pre-records. And you know Supreme Court Justice Brown Jackson, she was one of the honorary degree recipients, as well as Angela Bassett. And Angela Bassett, because of that, is now Dr. Angela Bassett, because she received an honorary doctorate degree from the institution. But, just the thoughtfulness, the messaging that was provided for all of the graduates. I felt like it wasn't just for them, it was for everyone that could, from the sound of their voice, under the sound of their voice. The songs that were sung, and it was just a great event. I'm exhausted right now. I'm in the hotel room, and let the young people go out and have a good time. But we had a wonderful dinner. Had two of my dearest friends, my college roommate, all 4 years in college was there, as well as one of my dearest friends that after college, her and I worked together side by side in Manhattan, and we really formed a serious sisterhood. And they were there to cheer her on, my husband, my son, my center child, and I just really enjoyed the graduation. I can't wait for you to see the pre-recorded videos. And again, I did them in clips. Angela Bassett's, her keynote speech was remarkable. The songs that the Glee Club sang, and I was like, Glee Club, like what songs they're going to sing? And they did a phenomenal job. Also, the different pieces when they did the honorary doctorate degrees. I also captured that, and I think that you're going to glean a lot from it too. And I hope that you do. I hope that you look at it all with an open mind and see how the information that was shared, the speeches that were shared, how they can impact you. There were about, I want to say, about 6,000 people in attendance. It was about 504, I believe the number was, of graduates for this class. And they just did a really good job with the technology. I do have the link. I think I posted the link on my page. Let me check. I know I put it on Facebook so that people that may have wanted to come and they couldn't come, could see. Uh, No, I didn't put it on here. I will put the YouTube video on here because they did post it on YouTube on the Spellman's page. They did a really good job, though. It was rather long, but with that type of information and the charge that they were giving the graduates, you can't just do that in a quick manner. Sometimes you do have to take your time, be deliberate and intentional when you're giving out a powerful message. That's really important. So, but we had the dinner was so good. It was at a Vietnamese infusion kind of restaurant, and it was in Buckhead. Oh, it was called Lay. What was it called? Lay. I don't know why I can't remember the name of it. Let me see, because maybe some of you that have gone Lay Colonial. Lay Colonial. And the food was really, really good. The ambiance was beautiful. The lighting, the seating area. We were in a upstairs in a patio kind of setting, but it was kind of one of those indoor, outdoor kind of vibes. The windows were open. They were shutter type of windows, and so they didn't have screens or anything. That's why you felt like you were maybe outside, but because it was a solid room, you were inside. And everything was just perfect. So for all the graduates that have received a degree or some type of certification, I want to say congratulations and carry on, continue to grow. Don't think that what you've just learned that you have everything you need. Always know that you will continuously learn and evolve, especially as things start to change. You want to remain relevant and on top of your game for whatever industry or whatever career path you choose. There's so many opportunities out here, so much more than even when I was in school. And it was interesting, talking with my roommate and her listening to my kids talk about their experiences in school, and her and I looking at each other like, what? Could you imagine if we knew that? Even listening to the president of the senior class, the president of the SGA, and the valedictorian saying their speech, I'm looking at them like I didn't even know people that were able to articulate the way that they were, the how observant they were of their classmates and of their experience at Spelman. One of the things that I thought was really good, and I don't know what other HBCUs are doing this, but they had the president of the National Alumni Association speak at the graduation. And that person, she gave them a charge, as graduates and expectations, and to uphold the history of the school and be honorable towards it. But also what she did was she gave each of those graduates a free membership to the National Alumni Association for 1 year. And I feel like especially every HBCU needs to do that. Give each graduate, be that first introduction, introducing them to the Alumni Association by giving them that free membership so that they can that year increase their social capital with other alumni, but also be able to participate in things that the alumni is doing, seeing how they can, integrate their skills and their ideas into whatever the alumni is doing for the school, but without the cost of being part of it, because that first year it's free for them. And this way you are getting them in the habit of being part, and not feeling like, oh, I can't really afford it, whatever, I have things going on, I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna balance all of this work life. And if they have any student loans or anything they have to pay back, that alumni dues that first year is one less thing they have to worry about. And I just think that that's such a great idea. And to have the president speaking at the graduation. What? not speaking to the graduates because they're in attendance in the audience. No, to be on the podium and speaking and giving them that charge and welcoming them into the alumni association. I think that is so powerful. And by doing that, you are building, commitment. You are building that true sisterhood, brotherhood, of whatever it is that, the school is you're going to. You're definitely building that unity early. And that's important. And that's what a lot of schools are missing. People graduate 1, 2, 10, 15, 20 years out, and they never join the alumni association. They don't know what's going on. um, you know, I've joined the Alumni Association for my undergrad. I'm actually a life member, but in the recent years, I haven't been to our local chapter meetings. I've been very busy. But I think if it would have been a habit right after college, it definitely would still stick with me. I know my daughter, she's trying to get involved with her alumni association. She's 2 years out of graduating. My son, he's not involved in his alumni association, but just imagine the difference it would have made to their lives. They would have felt much more committed, I think, if the president of the alumni association welcomed them into that association right at graduation. So, for any of you who are part of alumni associations or what have you, please take that back as an advice, a bit of advice, something that you can implement into your association. I think that would be so important. But yeah, for my avatar, you see that's my daughter with her flowers, and just so happy. This has been, she said, it feels like her graduation has been a month long because they've had so many different activities and events and such. And so she definitely, feels like it's been a lot, but every step of the way, she's been just soaking it in, taking it all in. I didn't hear much about the Morehouse graduation, which was this morning at 9 a.m. And I know that President Joe Biden, was the keynote speaker there. There was a lot of, people feeling some kind of way about him coming. Some people said, oh, they may protest. And I just remember, asking my daughter about how did she feel, or what was the word on the curb. And she said the guys that she knew that go to Morehouse, they just wanted to have their graduation, have it as peaceful as possible, because they didn't have a high school graduation. Just think about it. These students, class of 2024, that are graduating from college, even the ones graduating from high school, if they graduate from high school, they didn't have a middle school graduation. The ones that are graduating from college, they did not have a high school graduation. So this is their big step, into graduating and being honored. I remember my daughter's high school graduation was a drive-by. I mean, they had something on the TV for each of the high schools, and they pulled up their pictures. And then later on that day, we had a time slot, and we drove to the school's parking lot, and they had tents all around with the, associated letters of last names. And you found your letter and you drove up to it, and your graduate got out. Somebody was able to give them their diploma. They got back in the car, and you were going back home. Because remember, even at that time, restaurants weren't really open like that, not to sit down and enjoy a meal. You might be able to pick up food, but you definitely wasn't sitting in a restaurant. This was in June of 2020. So you were not, eating. And then, for their freshman year, they were home. The school was closed. So the campus was closed, but the school was open. So they did school virtually. Then when they came in as sophomores, they weren't treated like freshmen. However, a lot of the traditional things, yes, they tried to do them as best they could virtually, but they didn't have freshman week where they started school and they were the only ones on campus, just the freshmen getting to know each other. They started out as sophomores, really, and it was just a bigger change. And I'm not sure if a lot of schools realize what this class of 2020 actually went through that first year, which a lot of people say is the hardest year start, to start and complete. A lot of people will start, but not many will complete. And the fact that there were a little over 500 students today from Spelman that graduated, I believe the class was 503 or 504, something like that. That means that those girls that started as freshmen, I want to say 95% finished. And I say 95% that started as freshmen because I'm sure, some girls transfer in, some girls transfer out. And so either way, it evened out where just really everyone that started finished. And that's a testament right there, and they need to adhere and they need to acknowledge that they didn't really speak too much about this class's experience or lack thereof. But I commend those young ladies for sticking with it, for understanding, this is what I want. I want to go to this school. This was my school of choice, and I'm going to stick it out come hell or high water. And I'm just proud of all of them. I'm expecting great things from all of them, the changes that they're going to make, not just regionally, nationally, but worldwide. And for all the graduates out there of 2024, not just at Spelman, but whatever institution you went to, I commend you and I applaud you and I congratulate you for sticking it out and doing your best. But again, this is day 49 of 90-day challenge of going live every day. Um, I almost didn't make it because it was 11 or so when I started this live. Again, I'm very sleepy, been out and about all day, just enjoying the moment. This is my youngest of three, my last child, three out of three, that graduated from college. And I just feel like my assignment that God has given me and my husband has been completed. Not saying that we won't get another assignment with our children, because I don't feel like anything, with God is one and done. I don't feel like in life that, you finish one thing and then that's it. And that that's with anything. Sometimes I look at the way some people, their work ethic might be, where, they do something big and then they just want to dance around in the end zone, not realizing they have to hurry up and get back on defense. Think about a basketball player, and this is how I feel like some parents do, and some even employees may do. They shoot the ball and they're so mesmerized by the fact that the ball made it into the hoop, they just stop playing the game. But in life, you can't just stop playing the game. You have to keep playing. Okay, great. You made that shot. We got 2 points. We got 3 points, whatever the case may be. We got 6 points, whatever. But you got to go back and play defense so that the other team don't score on you again or score period. And when people do that, they really lose a step because now you making the team short. If especially if you're talking basketball, you made that shot, you so busy looking at how beautiful your arches in your arm and how your hand, your wrist is twisted, and how the ball hit all net. Now your whole team is back playing defense and they're one player short. They're playing 4 against 5 because you so busy posing. And in life you can't waste time posing. It's more than that. When you waste time posing, you making it so that it's harder on everyone else. It's you're not holding up your end of the bargain. You're not holding your weight in this situation, and that's not fair. So yeah, you made that shot good, great. That's what you're supposed to do. You've been practicing that, right? So that's what you're supposed to do. So keep going so that you can keep playing and keep shooting. That's why John Starks from the Knicks was one of my favorite players. When people say, oh, I love Jordan. I love LeBron. I love, Kobe. I love Patrick, whatever. I always say John Starks because John Starks had heart. And anybody that I work with, anybody that works for me, anybody that I collaborate with, whatever, I always look for the heart. If your heart is strong and capable, that's who I want on my team. I don't want people who are fair weather and, here today, gone tomorrow, prima donnas, the ones that, want to just be like twinkle toes running down the court or whatever. No, I want people to go hard each and every time, whether they make a shot or not. And that's what John Starks was to me. John Starks would take a shot and miss, and he would take another shot as if he never missed that other shot. He'd take a shot and make it, and he'll take another shot as if he didn't just make it. Every shot he took was like his first one because he gave that same intensity no matter what. And that's what it is in life. No matter what, you give that same intensity. So, what I'm saying to parents is, even though your child may have graduated from high school, college, or whatever, don't hold that pose too long, because you got to still stay in the game and play. And if you don't believe that, try and drop the ball now. What you gonna have your child run and play defense, and you not there to support them because you still looking at how beautiful that shot went in? We're on to the next. So it's about keeping those strategies going, keeping the game plan going. Game plans and playbooks aren't just one page. They're many pages because there are many different sequences. There are many different angles that you have to look at the game. And when I'm talking about the game, I'm talking about the game of life. There's a lot of different angles that you might have to look at in order to win. And so how are you strategizing? How are you making your moves? Are you taking a little bit of time off? Are you going right back at it? Are you taking some time off? You need to let somebody know so that you can be substituted. Somebody can come in for you. Don't just take time off and don't tell anyone, because again, you leaving us one player short. And if you are a parent or a child and you tapping out, you got to let somebody know, because maybe they need to help you. They need to get you some water when you on the bench. You need something? Do you need a towel? What do you need? But you sitting there dripping wet. I'm about to pass out, can't breathe. You need your inhaler, but you didn't tell anybody. Well, then that's not good either. So definitely stay the course. Today was Sunday's best at the graduation for Spelman College. The best of the best were there. And y'all, I just can't wait for you to see the pre-recorded videos, the clips that I was able to get. And, I was very far from the stage. Oh, it was challenging getting there, but we got there. Not as early as I wanted to, but we definitely got there, and it was all good. And I just feel like, let me rest today because we still in the game. We still in the game, and I'm excited for it because it's just like an AAU basketball tournament. You have multiple games in one day. You have multiple games over a course of a few days, and each game you got to bring your A game, and that's why you have to really take care of yourself. You have to bring back your energy. I remember my daughter's basketball coaches in particular, they would have the girls laying on their back with their legs up on the wall. They would have them drink black coffee before the games. They would have them do particular types of stretches. They would have them be able to zone out, meditate. That's why when I saw, players yesterday in the lobby just bugging out late at night, I'm like, who's your coach? Because I know coaches that my kids had, they would not have that. How are you preparing for what the game is going to be for the next day? I know you're young and you want to be out there, but what's your end goal really? And I'm glad to see Slasher Chick is in the building. Yes, we got there right on time. I'm trying to tell you, it, it was a beautiful graduation. I did pre-record. I didn't watch the pre-recorded videos. I'm not going to edit anything. I'm just going to post them as they, as I have them. And I'm just hopeful that what I heard comes through, because you just never know. Sometimes I might have had my hands over the speaker part. I don't know. and I was recording from the actual one of the screens because I was sitting right in front of one of the screens, the big jumbo screens, so that you can see everything no matter how far or close you were. And yeah, I'm really glad that I made it for sure. I hope that everyone else had a great weekend. I am in love with Atlanta. I really do love Atlanta. Again, I didn't think I was going to. I've been coming to Atlanta for decades now, it seems, and I always just kind of felt like it was overrated, and it's not. It really isn't. But I think Atlanta is that place where if you do move here, you have to have all your stuff together. I know when my husband had retired, one of his former teammates had, he and his family moved to Atlanta. I can't remember where they were originally from, but I remember back then he said to my husband, "Y'all should look at Atlanta." But I just felt like Atlanta was oversaturated, and I wasn't down to be around people that was putting up fronts and stuff. Not saying that they're not still here, because for sure they are. But you know what? At some point, when you're doing your own thing, who cares? Who cares what other people are doing or not doing? It don't matter because they have nothing to do with you. It's not going to affect or impact your life one way or the other. But there are some really nice places. I'm just always blown away by the common places that, have multiple mixed use, and just the types of people that are taking advantage of it. It just seems like a whole vibe. Charlotte has some good spots too, but I don't know. It's the vibe of the people here that really make it for me. They just have a different kind of swag. Different types of intentions. Charlotte is more, and I always say this, and I know Slasher Chick, you're kind of considering Charlotte a little bit. And Charlotte is the type of place I think if you come in by yourself, like with no significant other or children or anything like that, it might be a little challenging. It, Charlotte, you almost need like a posse or a crew, a tribe already that's coming with you, because it's so transient. It's really hard to find people that are from Charlotte that are in Charlotte. And the people that come to Charlotte are they're coming here for a better purpose, a better life, and they absolutely can have that. But Charlotte doesn't have a true identity yet. It's still trying to figure out who is Charlotte. What is Charlotte? What's Charlotte known for? Whereas Atlanta has an identity. It's that dirty South. It's the South. It's Southern. It's Southern hospitality. It's like the Black Mecca. It's industry. It's all different types of creative industry. Charlotte is Southern, but is not Southern. It gives you a feel of it. It feels more like a northeastern town, or a southwest town. It doesn't feel like a southern city. It's trying to have that southern hospitality. If you go through the airports, you'll see the rocking chairs, and that feels like something you would see on a southern porch type of thing. And they trying to get you into that vibe, that mood, but the people aren't really southern that way. And again, it's hard to find people that are truly from Charlotte, so it doesn't even have an accent. Whereas even though they say, oh, it's hard to find people that's from Atlanta, it's hard to find people that's really from Georgia, but you do find people that are from there, and you hear the accent, and it's distinctive. Charlotte doesn't have like a real distinct accent, where like, oh, okay, this they from Charlotte. you know. Um, to a grad chapter. Oh, see, and that's the thing. And if you do move to Charlotte, if you are part of an organization like a Greek letter organization, or if you have a family, Jack and Jill, if you part of Links, anything like that, oh, you straight. because I know wherever we lived around the country, I didn't care because it would be okay. I'm like, if I don't meet anybody through associations that my husband's part of, oh, I'm gonna be fine because I'll just join my sorority chapter, or I'll meet some sorors and I'm good. And you're right, and that's how it is. I see Rudy's in the building. Give us a time check. Thank you for giving us that time check. Yeah, it's southern, but not southern. And I know you're like, what? It's only southern because it's in the south, so it makes it southern. But the way that people move is not southern. And I just feel like here, well, in Charlotte, and I, I'm not, I'm speaking for Charlotte, but because that's where I'm at. I'm in Atlanta right now, but Charlotte is, let me see, because I know that this happens everywhere, but people are more, I don't want to call them judgmental, but it's almost like they don't believe you had a life before you got there. So if you talk about experiences that you may have had in other places, people are, they don't believe it, or they're real skeptical about it. And it's like, this was not my beginning. This is not even the end. This is just part of the process, and I'm trusting it. And it, so it's too bad for you if you've never heard of this other angle or of anyone else going through this. But around the country, around the world, people are doing some things. And we're fortunate to have them come to this city to do them too, in real life. Yes, they are southern in location only. Southern in location only. But the good thing about Charlotte not having an identity is that if you have a strong perspective and are doing something that is cutting edge, that's innovative, something that is, relevant and will continue to be relevant for years to come, it's open. It's open. It's open and willing to receive new things. And that's the beauty of it, really. Whereas Atlanta, I would think, unless you're coming with something solid that you're not relying on Atlanta to need, there's a lot of businesses that do business elsewhere, and the people that are doing that business elsewhere, they live someplace totally different. I know people, consultants that concentrate on certain cities, and they live hundreds of miles away from that city, thousands even away from that city, because that's not, they don't have to live there to make their money. And so Atlanta, it's already basically established. But if you are making your money someplace else, then I would say, yeah, Atlanta is the spot. That's the place to be. And it's interesting because my daughter was saying that Atlanta is one of those, or Georgia really is one of those states where if you have your real estate license, you don't have to take your test over. You just have to apply to get your license here, which is kind of cool. You know, that's cool to know if you have a real estate, career, and that's what she does. So she was just saying, because in South Carolina, she's getting that license, and she has to take the exam again, for South Carolina, which I found very interesting, considering South Carolina and North Carolina really border, especially where Charlotte is, because Charlotte is the southern end of North Carolina. I know when one of my brothers, my oldest brother, and his wife and son were coming to visit us when we first moved to Charlotte, and they were driving from New Jersey, and they said, "What exit are you?" And I told them the exit name. I didn't know the exit number. It's in different places, the number or the name. And for whatever reason, I could not remember the exit number, and I just told them the exit name. So when they entered the state, which was in the southern part, I think it's like the southern western part or southern eastern part of Virginia, he woke his wife and son up like they were asleep, and he was like, "Oh, we almost there, look for this exit." And this was back in the day before GPS, before cell phones were real popular. So he's just going off of what I'm telling him. Go to 95, hop on 85 and keep straight, and you see this exit, and that's my exit, and you get off, you make a right and you keep straight. And those are my directions for him. So he woke them up and was like, "Oh, okay, we almost at Aunt Sherry's. You know, look for the sign that says da da da." Da." And they were looking, and sometimes they would turn back around because they thought they may have seen it but missed it. And it turned out they had to drive 4 hours to get to that sign, to get to that exit. So when he came to my house, my brother looked like he walked from New Jersey. It was so funny to me. He was like, "Yo, you really need to learn the numbers of the exits where you live, because you are 4 hours from the state line of North Carolina. And this don't make no sense. We was driving looking for the name of the street or the exit, and all you had to do was tell us the number, and we would have known we, was far away." And I was like, "Well, that's what happens. I don't know to tell you." Yeah, it depends on the state. Hmm. And so, from that moment on, I realized like Charlotte is way down in the South. It's way down Southern North Carolina, and there are so many people that work in Charlotte but live in South Carolina. The cost of living in South Carolina is a lot less expensive. And so I don't know how they are doing that with taxes though, because I know if you live someplace but work and make money someplace else, you have to file taxes in two places. So you have to have a really good accountant. For instance, any athlete, basketball, football, baseball, tennis, whatever, professional athlete, whatever state they work in, it could be one day they get a W 2 for that state. So when my husband played, they had 16 games. I don't know how many games they play now, but I think it's a little bit more than 16. I think, is it 18 games? Is it a longer season? I feel like they have a couple of more teams. But at any rate, 8 W 2s he got every year. 9 plus, the city that we were in. But all the states that he played in, he got a W 2 for that. And so that required a really seasoned and professional accountant. If you don't have that, the average accountant can't do that. They can't handle multiple states and filing taxes in multiple states. So if you are doing business in other states, multiple states, if you know people who are about to start doing businesses or business in multiple states, tell them to make sure they have a good accountant. That's going to be important so that they can keep them on point, because I think that's what messes that's a part of what messed people up. Even when I worked in New York, there would be a couple of times a year, not even long, it might be a day or two, a couple of days a year I would work in New Jersey. And when I did that, I had to file taxes, that I worked and earned money in New Jersey like that for the company. So, just be mindful of that when you are out here, worldwide with your stuff, and, figuring that out. I'm telling you, part of your team when you are starting a business has to be a tax accountant. It has to be. And it has to be one that is licensed all over, and that understands the laws of all the different states. And sometimes it may be not just a single person, because sometimes, it's hard for one person to have all of that knowledge, really, especially if they're young. Because a lot of people, when they get into business, especially if they're young people, they kind of want to hook their friends up, like, "Oh, you know how to do this, well, you could do that for me, you could do this, you could do that for me, boom boom." But some things, when it comes to your money, you need to have somebody that's seasoned, somebody you don't even know, but that are honest and have integrity. They have all their licenses. They are, you know, they just have all the documents that says that, if you do something wrong by me, you gonna lose everything. And that's really important. So you definitely want to do your due diligence. You want to interview them and make sure that they are used to people that have similar situations like you. You know, Yeah, I'm going down a rabbit hole now, talking about things that I can talk about later on, because right now we're talking about Sunday's best and Spelman College's 137th graduation ceremony that was so wonderful. And just wanted to give kudos to all the graduates of 2024. I know that you all have been through some things that none of us can even explain or understand. When you go to high school, you know, you might join the prom committee, you're excited about taking your next steps afterwards, and then all of that just comes to a halt. And that's what happened in March of 2020. Proms were canceled, graduations were canceled, and the kids were just kind of wandering around. Let me tell you, my daughter knew that she was going to go to Spelman. You know, she had accepted and everything. And it got to a point, I remember it was like June, July. And we had this conversation with her, like, what you going to do? Because if you're gonna go to school virtually from home, and as expensive as Spelman is, if they charge you regular price, you might want to think about doing something else, having a gap year, doing something with AmeriCorps or Peace Corps or something else, because that don't sound right to me. And now Spelman was very generous. They got millions and millions of dollars that freshman year, and we just kept seeing the bill go down and down and down because they kept taking money off, which was a great thing. But at the same time, that experience was just crazy. But then I'm thinking today, you know, here she is graduating. What if she would have taken that gap year? Maybe she wouldn't have went back. Maybe, you know, like a lot of things just could have been a coulda, woulda. Thank goodness you didn't, you know. And that's what happens to a lot of young people. They put things off and they say, oh, I'm not going to do it this year, I'm going to wait, I'm going to do it next year. They don't do it the next year because that one thing they did that year, it was a good experience, or maybe because they were making money they accumulated bills, so now they have to work. You know, a lot of different things, life happens. And then they look up and look, 4 years later, everybody that they started out with is now graduating. And then they're looking at it like, dag, I would have been done. It went by fast. So I'm glad my daughter, you know, stuck to the course. I'm glad that as a family we did a deep dive and talked about it with all the options. Because even Spelman was saying, you know, if you want to take a gap year, you got to let us know by this time. And that wasn't even a thought with my other two. They never was like, okay, you're accepted into this school, but if you want to take a gap year, you got to let us know. They never said that. But that was definitely part of the equation for this, you know, for my youngest, you know. Um, let's see. You're saying that's why I say everything works out perfectly. EWAP. Yep, everything does work out perfectly. And you know, you might guess again or think again, but you can't keep second, third, and fourth guessing it. You have to just know that everything is going to work out perfectly. We just going to take our shot. We're going to, you know, walk into this room. Our steps are ordered. We don't know where the path is going to lead us. We can't see the path, but we know it's there, and we just going to trust it. Trust that God got us. He's guiding us through, and everything is going to work out perfectly. Absolutely. And I think that's a great way to end Sunday's Best Live with EWAP. Everything works out perfectly. Yes, it does. And I appreciate you all for tuning in. And I'm telling you, and I'll say this till the wheels come off, practice every single day. Don't even think that you can take a break because there's someone breathing down your neck. They're right there at your neck, breathing on it, trying to take what you got, trying to take your shot. And when they take it, they gonna make it because they practicing. So that's why you have to stay practice up, practice every single day, so that when you go in, you will go in to win. It has been my pleasure speaking with you today. Thanks for being in the building, Slasher Chick and Rudy, and all of you that were listening in but could not get to your computer to say what's up in the chat. I understand. And for those of you watching this on replay, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate the support. I will see you all tomorrow, but stay tuned and check out my pre-recorded videos. I'll be dropping them periodically between, well, maybe not tonight. Maybe I might drop one tonight, but definitely tomorrow. All right, everyone. Take care and have a great evening. I am Coach Sherry.